Hi there, my name's Jason Williams, and in this video I'm going to service this old HZJ80, this old 80 series Land Cruiser, and I'm going to go through the service intervals and the oils, lubricants that I use, the things that you should do. Just a quick under cap. I'll get straight into it. The first thing is front and rear differential, front and rear diffs, and the transfer case use the same oil. This Molly Gear 8090. Good stuff, right? The gearbox does not use the same oil as those. I mean, yes they do, and they're supposed to, but I've found fully synthetic 75 weight to be better for the gearbox. And the engine oil is, like most diesels, is a 1540, and 1540 is fairly synonymous, apart from a lot of later models, and that's what I want to talk to you a little bit about, is engines that are diesel engines that are have variable cam timing, and so they use a lighter, thinner oil. And for instance, I'll go over quickly, like D40 Navaras with a V6 Renault diesel in them. They are quite sensitive and don't like 1540. So I've for many years I've used this as a supplement inside the oil for these old diesel engines, and I use it at 20%. So on a 10 litre oil change, there's 2 litres. That's 20%. And I've done 600,000 Ks in this thing, and that's getting on. And so I've shown you that, and I'll go through some tips and service oil intervals. Like some people say, I change the oil every 5,000, and some people say you're over servicing your car. Well, there's truth in both of those, and I'll talk to you a little bit as I go what you look for, why you're changing the oil probably too often, or what you're not getting out of your oil. Right, begin. So after you've heated up the engine and you're about to drop the oil, remove the filler cap so that it can just free flow through. Just watch the engine oil will probably be a bit hot if you've run it up, which you should. And yes, like everything, you always get oil on yourself doing this, but you can be pretty quick at it as well. Alright, and position your train pan so that it catches the spill from the oil filter. Because we're going to remove that now. We'll let that drain a bit, and we're also going to remove the oil filter. Alright, always make sure you have a fresh sump plug seal. And that goes for everything, your differentials, your gearbox, transfer case. Make sure those the rings, the seals are in good nick. Right, oil's drained, and I did try this by hand and couldn't get it, so got the little trusty spanner on. It's only got to crack it a little bit, it's not too hard. And just wind it off. You are going to spill oil, that's why I've positioned the drain tray under there, because oil is going to spill from it. Make sure you clean this up when you're done. Right, Toyota very kindly pre-oil, pre-grease these up. These are genuine filters. Alright, giving this a good wipe around. I like to use genuine filters everywhere I can. Give this a good clean off. Cleaning all the surfaces. However, be mindful. Yes, they are already greased, but you want to make sure there's plenty there, and there is. You know, I can see that quite clearly. And the new filter just goes on, spins on by hand. When you feel the O-ring touch, the main outer O-ring, you've noticed you make a position, and so it'll slide to a spot. You'll feel the O-ring touching. You want to be 3/4 of that, almost a full turn to tighten. And you can usually do this by hand, so that Toyota symbol that's there, or written Toyota, should be down here. That would make 3/4. And that tightener, when it's down there. That's got him. Now that we're happy with that, I've wiped off the dipstick. Not that that's really important, but good habit. And the cap's off, the bung's still out. While we're letting that drain, I'm going to replace the fuel filter as well as the air filter. So I might do the fuel filter next. Alright, and with your genuine fuel filter again, genuine filters, with your new filter, you should get a new O-ring for the water sensor. Alright, that's pretty straightforward. Make sure you always replace these. You don't want these to be getting old and brittle and start leaking when you're out remote. A little bit of fuel still on my hands, so that'll make up the wet for the seal. Reinstall into the bottom of the other one. I didn't record removing the other one because it was fairly simple to do. Sort of trying to get it tight, not ridiculously tight. This is a bit alright, so when you get it in, slip joint pliers. I mean, this is quite broken, as you can see. It's old. I should replace it, but it still works, it's still good. Just be gentle nipping it up. See there, bits of plastic falling off it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a new one soon. There we go. Not ridiculously tight, and the same goes for the seal here. It should be fuel. I get a little bit of fuel out of the bit of diesel from the hoses, which will be enough. Wind's picking up. It's your usual story. And then assemble it back onto your filter. The primer assembly, and same thing, just nice and tight, no spanners required. That's about it, and I'll remount this. Alright, then reinstall your line to the tank. And plug your water sensor back in. And then begin priming it. And sometimes it takes a little while. It's got to fill up this canister with the filter with fuel. I can quite clearly hear and feel the fuel going in there. And you'll do that because as it fills up, it'll eventually get all the air out and spurt out this little nozzle. If you can see that on the camera, of course. Pretty tricky holding the camera in the right spot for this, or setting it up. Hopefully the camera is now in a better spot. Oh, there we go. And pressurise it a bit with your finger. Oh. Yep. Don't think there's much air in there. Put your that lead back on. The fuel hose to the injector pump. Tightening back up. Not a very good screwdriver, this one. It's for doing electrics. This is why you've got to degrease everything afterwards. Alright, oil's still draining and leave that alone, so remove the hoses for the air cleaner, little pipes. These are to sense when there's a pressure difference on the intake to the outside of the air filter. Lets you know when it's blocked. So remove that, undo the clips, 3 clips on this one, old 80 series, and this little turn back on the top. And I'm hoping that I don't actually have to undo the this pipe. I can't remember if I have to or not. Looks like it, yes. Undo this clamp. This will take this out of the way, which gives me a good chance to inspect the inside of this. We want to rub our finger in there and see no evidence of dust or anything, which there's not. It's good these old steel air boxes, they hold, they seal quite well. All right, there's the old air filter. Bit of crap, I'm not going to even try. Get rid of that out of the way. Should vacuum some of that stuff out, but it's not bad. It's pretty good. Ready for a new air filter. Alright, always inspect your seals. Make sure everything looks in really good condition, nice and clean. Nice and clean. And the same with the top lid. Make sure that seal's in good nick, which it is. Yay for me. Line it up. And just take your time and make sure it feels like it's seating down in the right spot. When you're happy with that, probably do up your primary clips. Reattach your vacuum lines for your sensor. And put your little cap back on. And how tight should you go down? Well, I've always just tightened them down until I've felt them seat the filter. you know, you feel it gets tighter, and you think, oh yeah, that's it. Pretty happy with that. And then make sure your attachment, your intake is assembled correctly. Do your hose clamp back up if yours is like this, which no doubt old 1HZ that's been turbocharged, it's probably going to be very similar, isn't it? Not really the right size screwdriver for this, but it'll do the trick. Done. Alright, the next bit will be to put the oil sump back in. I might go in and have breakfast, put the oil sump back in and fill it up with oil. Then we'll get to the differentials and the gearboxes, or the transfer case. Don't have the oil to do the gearbox today, so I might add it in later. I'll see how I go. Now that all the filters are done, we might as well whack this sump plug back in. It's going to weep, it's going to keep weeping. That's okay, we just chuck our bung in. Have a bit of a wipe. And making sure you put this bung in before you go to put oil in, right? Otherwise you lose all your new oil out the sump. Alright, that is complete. Now to fill up with oil. First things first, I'll generally chuck in my 2 litres of Morris to begin with. And chuck the second one in. Alright, so I've put the 2 litres of Morris in. I've already put a 5 litres worth of 1540 in there. This is the last 3 litres to make up the 10 litres. Right, so put that in there like so, and let it go. And so the use of Morris engine oil at 20%, which is your 2 litres in your 10 litre mix, is, well, for these older engines it keeps it a lot fresher, makes the oil a bit thicker and a bit more usable for the engine, and which seems to be working. This thing's done quite a lot of Ks and worked quite hard, and it seems to keep going. And as for the original comment about when should you be servicing your old diesel engine, whether it's a 2H, 12HT, 1HZ, 1HDT, 1HDFT and 1HDFTE, they're the Toyotas, as well as your TD42s and your Nissans, and all alike, these older, you know, from from basically the year 2000 backwards, you should, you know, some people say service it every 5,000 Ks, but that's not, you don't have to. Some people will say you're over servicing it, and there's truth in both the comments. You see, if you baby your engine, say you drive it really calmly, really gently all the time and not working it hard ever, then yeah, you're going to need to change it every 5,000 Ks. If you work your engine quite hard and are very brutal with it, then the same thing will happen. You know, because the reason oil becomes quite contaminated and sludgy is the unburnt fuel, and this is caused by the glazing up of carbon on the pistons. To eliminate that is to, you know, make it work hard, but not all the time. Don't baby it and don't work it really hard. Try to keep a mix between, you know, being gentle with it and working it hard. Keep a mix and your engine oil will last longer, as there won't be so much unburnt fuel getting past the piston rings into the engine oil. And if I keep that always, you know, if I keep with that process that I do with mine, I will be changing it every 10,000. Sometimes I'll change it every 5 because the car hasn't done any work and it's just been, you know, puttering around a little bit. Then that's no good. Same as thrashing it and making it work insatiably hard constantly. That's no good either. You need to keep a balance of the two. Alright, so you clean off the nipple. I'm having a bit of trouble getting some grease into this. And whack it on there. Grease up your drive shafts, one at this end, one at the other end of the drive shaft, both front and rear. And you don't want to stick heaps of grease into it. You just want to pump a bit in there until you hear it crack. Just like that. There's about 3 pumps I got in there, and hopefully you heard the little crack sound, the little, and that's the grease just pushing out the last of the air past the little seals. If you push too much grease in, you're actually going to damage the seals and push them out, and that will shorten the life of the uni joint by quite a bit. Alright, with that done, I guess I'll explain to you about putting some grease in the yoke. Right, the yoke is this piece here. This part of the shaft on a spline goes inside this, so as you ride up and down on the suspension, it can move. You can see where it's sort of moved there in time. And so with this, you don't pump much, you pump a little bit. I always pump, you know, probably 2 or 3 in there. Just put some grease in the yoke. That's about 4. Oh, and that'll do. And the same goes, you know, I'll grease all these grease nipples, and so they're on the 80 series. There's just the 3 for the front drive shaft, and 3 for the rear drive shaft, and 3 for the front. Both the same, and then that's it for grease nipples under here. Right, and we'll do the front diff now, and always, you know, try to keep in a habit to undo the filler bung first, because this is where you fill up from. Not that it's that big a deal. So we'll undo this. A little bit might pour out the front, I assume, maybe not. Making sure that that little copper washer's in there. Move a bit more crud outside of that. And undo the bung. Inspecting what we might have on there. Looks pretty good. Molly Bond looks like metal flakes, but it's not. Alright. Let that drain and fill it up. Alright, give this a little bit of a wipe, bit of a clean. Make sure it's good. Same as the bung. Make sure the washer's in good nick, and then whack him in. Alright. Now time to fill you back up with oil. With new oil. So once again, removing the filler bung. Oh, a little bit tighter than I expected. This is the transfer case. And then undo the drain. Inspect the magnet. Nothing on there. Alright. Time to bung this back in. And tighten him up. Not over tight, only aluminium housing as you would expect. And now it's time to top it up. With the Molly Bond gear oil. that's full. It most certainly is. Right, that's a wrap up of this video. Well, this is wrapping it up, but I should talk about the elephant in the room. There's a defect notice. I've got to hand these number plates in today, wait till the approvals come through for me to get them back and get across to get the final inspection done. Alright, that's annoying. I'll make a video on that, removing a defect notice off a vehicle. And all I gotta do now is clean everything up and give it a good rinse down. And yeah, cool. I hope this is informative. I hope it helps you. And yeah, I'm inspired to see you in the next one. Cheers.